I, nearly adult female, recently found out my father has a second family. My mom has since filed for divorce. My father has been trying to get me and my brother, teen, to have a relationship with his other kids, half-sisters, nearly adult and 1 year younger, and half-brother, tween. We were having dinner at my father's. My father let us know he was delighted to have all his kids in one room. The half-sister mentioned that she was thrilled she had the opportunity to meet us. She always had to watch from a distance but is happy to have a relationship with us finally. I was not engaging in the conversation a lot. In fact, I was getting annoyed, but I was able to keep my annoyance unnoticed until he called half-sister Totty, and she confidently told my brother that it was her special nickname. My brother looked at me in horror because he knew I was about to lose my temper, and my dad knew too. He knew that he had messed up. Again, I got up and calmly told my dad that he was dead to me. I told his kids that they're awesome, but I don't want to have a relationship with them. I walked out, and my brother chased after me because I was his ride home. On the way home, my brother told me I overreacted and that it wasn't that serious. I interrupted him and said that he could also be dead to me if he didn't choose his next words carefully. He just said, never mind. That nickname is special to me. My grandpa, Mom's dad, gave me that nickname because he thought it was extraordinary that I was able to walk at 7 months old. He never called me by my name, always by my nickname. He even said my nickname repeatedly when he was on his deathbed. It's so special to me, even though it just means small in my language, a language that I know my father doesn't speak. He only speaks English, and I'm not going to share that nickname with someone that doesn't even know what it means, especially not my father's other kid. My brother knows how much that nickname means to me. I maybe shouldn't have said that to him, but he also shouldn't have said that to me. This is why I feel he deserved it. My brother is really upset, and my mom feels like I shouldn't have reacted in that way, but I feel justified in my reaction because it was my special nickname and my father just gave it to somebody else. My brother didn't show an ounce of sympathy for me. My mom said that my father and brother don't have to be my enemy. I agree my brother isn't my enemy, but my father will be my enemy until the day he dies. So, am I the idiot for telling my brother that he can also be dead to me? Not the idiot, and I'm totally stealing the "if you don't choose your next words carefully" line. This is a messed up situation for sure. Learning that your father has a second family, including daughters your age, one of whom he gave the same nickname as you, and you shouldn't mind either of those things. What your father did was absolutely disgusting, and your brother's action after was no better, especially when he saw you about to lose it when it was said. You have every right to feel this way, and your brother should most definitely apologize to you for being so insensitive about it. I can respect OP's position. Her biological father knew exactly how bad he messed up and earned his daughter's fury, betraying his family for so many freaking years, and then somehow managing to betray his daughter worse. That's not something that will calm down for decades at best. Most likely never. The brother just screwed up, not betrayal. OP is justified in her fury but should cut the brother appropriate slack after calming down. Most likely brother is just trying to please everyone and calm everyone down, including himself. He's probably hurting quite a bit. Dad's been hiding it for 18 years. He had to get the other woman pregnant, so 17 years plus, 10-ish months minimum. Also, both women were pregnant and had kids at the same time, and the affair kids knew about them. This man isn't worthy of being dog poo on someone's shoe. The affair family knowing the entire time was the creepiest part. It sounds like the premise for a horror film. Honestly, I think OP's family is actually the alternate family. Geez, he not only lived a complete double life for almost 2 decades, he even managed this weird arrangement where Family 1 knows about Family 2, but not vice versa. How the heck did that not blow up in his face right away? The guy's a master of deception and duplicity. Idiot for sure, but I have to admire anyone who achieves something that I'd find impossible. My boyfriend, 27, and I, 26 female, decided to go on a road trip like we do every year. This year, he said he didn't want to ruin his new car and suggested we go in my car. He also requested to drive, but I told him it was my car, then I should drive. He tried to make comments about how my driving was slow and inconsistent, but eventually dropped it and we went. He brought his buddy with him and they both sat in the back. Once we got on the road, my boyfriend started making comments about my driving while asking me to let him drive instead. I ignored him and kept driving, but then he and his friend kept saying things like, "OP, you're driving like a girl. Wait, you are a girl." Then they started to laugh and then say, "Your driving is as bad as our old neighbour." Again, I ignored them, but they go again with, Seriously, who taught you to drive like that? And hope the cops pull us over and end this misery. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore and I began to lose my temper. So I told them to stop and that if either of them made one more comment about my driving, then I'd kick them out. My boyfriend glanced at me, then things got quiet for about 5 minutes. Then he finally mumbled, "All right, I think we should call 911 because your driving is causing me brain damage." I snapped. I immediately stopped the car and told him I'd had enough and that he had to get out. He tried to argue, saying I was overreacting and he was just trying to teach me to drive better, but I told him to get out. His friend came at me, defending him, but I told him to get out too. My boyfriend then said I was nuts because we were in the middle of nowhere, but there was a gas station nearby. I told them both to get out and put their bags on the side of the road, then drove off. I went home instead of continuing the trip, and I cried till I got there. Later, I argued with my boyfriend upon his return, and he told me it was cruel of me to kick him and his friend out and ruin the trip over a few comments they made with good intentions. I told him that he mocked my driving the entire time and called it horrible, and in response, he said that he was just being honest with me and that this was all my fault for refusing to let him drive in the first place. Now we're not even talking, and he keeps huffing and puffing around me for doing this to him and his friend. Not the idiot, but why are you still calling this dude a boyfriend instead of an ex? There is no universe in which we should call 911 because of your driving, or even "ha ha, girls can't drive," is a thing that can be said with good intentions. And if he was just being honest about that, like he claims, he should have been delighted to be safely out of the car. What he's really saying is, I should be allowed to insult you with impunity even when you're doing me a favor, and you're not allowed to have a problem with that. Why do you need that in your life? What he was saying is, I want to drive because I'm too insecure to let my girlfriend drive, but since OP won't give me what I want, I will verbally abuse and annoy you until you give in and let me drive. And these guys are pushing 30, so they don't even have the excuse of being stupid teens. Also, your boyfriend is a little misogynistic, isn't he? He should be grateful that you took the trip in your car since he didn't want to ruin his precious car. Your car, your rules. Also, why was he sitting in the back with a friend and not up front with you? He's your boyfriend. He should be sitting up front with you. You're not his mom or his driver. If he behaves like trash, he gets dumped outside the car like trash. What I don't understand is, OP, why did you take the trash back into the house? Throw it out. My young teen male stepsister, same age, don't really get along. Last year, my dad got me a cat. He's really sweet but mostly blind and doesn't enjoy being picked up without warning. My sister isn't allowed pets per her dad. She also hates being touched. I don't know why, but it's just a thing. Anyway, she's somewhat obsessed with my cat. He hates it, but he's too sweet and doesn't do anything but let out panicked meows. She thinks he likes it and he's talking to her. I've told her to leave him alone. I've spoken to her dad and my mom, but she just won't listen. My dad has even spoken to her about it. She just won't leave him alone. So last week I took matters into my own hands. I told her on Monday to leave him alone and mentioned how she doesn't like people touching her without asking. She told me he was fine and if he didn't like it, he'd scratch her. So that morning, when she picked him up, I hugged her from behind while she was doing it. She panicked a little and asked why I was touching her. I told her every time she picked the cat up, I'll hug her because clearly she needed some contact. She put him down, and when she picked him up later that day, I did the same thing. She cried that time and I felt a little bad. That continued until Friday when she stopped picking him up. She's mad at me still and has blocked me on everything. My dad gave me a whole conversation on consent and how we really shouldn't violate people because of animals, but hasn't made anything to punish me. Obviously her dad is angry about it, but he went to my parents rather than me, so I don't know how that's being dealt with. Mom is annoyed the most and has told me I need to apologize or I won't be welcome back to her house. I told her I wouldn't apologize until my sister did. She, like my dad, said cats aren't equal to humans. I do feel bad for her, but I feel worse for my cat and she wasn't listening when I told her no, so I just did the same back. I know I'm in the wrong regardless, violating consent is bad. I just want to know if I'm solely in the wrong. Am I the idiot? I mean, kudos to you for thinking outside the box to solve the issue. You went to your parents, they ignored you, asked your sister, she ignored you, you then solved it yourself. Not the idiot. That kind of thinking will get you far in life. Solving issues with unconventional solutions, even if sometimes it gets you scolded, is a good skill. I'd love to have you on my team. So you took a butt chewing and your dad isn't wrong, but he isn't getting too harsh with you because he's proud of you for actually solving it. So if you have to apologize, here are some words I'd recommend. Dear sister, I apologize for touching you without consent. I will try my best not to do it again, but I admit I get excited every time I see you hugging my cat and am compelled to hug you. I definitely won't feel the need to hug you as long as you don't pick up my cat again. Something along those lines. Your stepsis either has medical issues that spur crap behavior, or she is a brat, or both. As someone with autism, believe me, we can be jerks just like anyone, but her behavior is for her dad to work on, not you. By ignoring her behavior, the adults in her life are making it worse. None of this is your fault. Did everyone just gloss over her mom's comments? OP, threatening with you, in your words, I need to apologize or I won't be welcome back to her house, is majorly messed up and not how a parent deals with a child. Not the idiot for that comment alone. You're left to your own means in your mother's home. If a parent is that big an idiot to their kid, they don't get to talk about consent or respect. I have a child from my first marriage who, if I'm being honest, was very unlikable growing up. Unfortunately, his mother and I had a messy breakup. There was no cheating involved in my divorce. She'd stolen a large amount of money from me, but she'd often encourage him to do and say things while I had him that upset quite a few people, including my parents and siblings. And over the years, his behavior got worse no matter what I tried. He just didn't respect me as a parent, and with the limited time I had with him, I wasn't sure what I could do. So my family started associating with him a lot less. I would find myself doing a lot of solo activities with him because even my wife and stepchildren couldn't tolerate him. My mother, who is the most patient person I know, told him that he was one of the rudest people she'd ever met after he was particularly nasty towards me. This led him to say awful things to her that made me and my brother furious. It created a huge fight that led to him not talking to my family or me for a full year. My strained relationship with him has been excruciating for me, and it's caused a lot of issues in my marriage and life in general. But I do love my son, and I always held out hope that our relationship would survive the divorce toxicity. Now that he's 20, I think our relationship is finally turning the corner. My ex has moved across the country and has less influence on him. He's also mellowed out and has a wonderful, kind girlfriend who seems to have had a very positive effect on him. I've been seeing them more frequently and have had them several times in my home for meals. There's still tension between him and my stepkids, but everyone just seems to keep the peace for my sake. I've asked all my family to give him another chance and have been firm about it. My parents are, of course, more than happy to, but my siblings and stepkids are less so. They want him to apologize to the entire family, but I don't believe this will be something he will do. I feel that a lot of the bad feelings will soften over time. I don't want my son to feel like he has to be on the defensive. It's taken a long time to reach this point with him, and I don't want to ruin it. But some of my family thinks he was extremely rude, especially to me, and think it'll be hard to forget or forgive without him showing more remorse. Am I the idiot? Edit. He doesn't entirely accept any fault. He still seems to blame me for leaving my ex, and he seems to hold some stuff against her too. It's basically a really fragile moment in our relationship being repaired, and I don't want to jeopardize it. He's refused therapy. I went with my wife for a while, which definitely helped. He behaved that way towards your family because you let him, not because of your ex. Sorry, but if he's really changed, he'd want to apologize for what he did in the past. It would be best if you didn't force him, but there needs to be closure on that chapter of his and their life. Just trying to act like it never happened and hope the tension dies away is avoiding the topic altogether. He's an adult, and a great skill to have as an adult is to admit when you're wrong and acknowledge that you've wronged others. You are the idiot, and he should apologize. Maybe not in a speech to the whole family, but individualized would be a good start. He should be asking and working towards a second chance, not you. An apology is easy to give if it's meaningful, so there's no reason he can't give one. You've covered up and tried to fix his shortcomings and mistakes in the past, but this is something he needs to do 100% by himself. You have to sit this one out, or you'll be shunned again. You are the idiot. I understand you love your son and want everyone to give him a second chance, but you can't force them. 3 months ago, I, nearly adult male, started working part-time at an ice cream and sweet shop after school. One of my co-workers, 20 female, lives in the same neighborhood as me. When she noticed that I have a scooter motorcycle, she asked if I'd be okay dropping her off at her house because she had scary experiences with some Kareem, Uber equivalent in my country, drivers at night. I told her no problem, and so whenever she worked an evening shift, I would drop her off after work. Last Saturday after we closed, she was with her friends outside. While I was on the scooter, I asked if she was going back to her house. Her friend started laughing and she was visibly embarrassed. I took the cue and left. The day after, she called me, saying I was an idiot for embarrassing her with my stupid beat-up scooter in front of her friends, and that she obviously didn't need a ride from me that night because they were going to a party. She has an evening shift tomorrow, and I don't intend to take her back with me anymore. I know this might be petty and stupid, but I've been working and saving for a year and a half to buy the scooter with my parents helping me, so if someone mocks it, it's like mocking me even though I know it's a crappy scooter. Not the idiot, just say someone might see her on it and you don't want to embarrass her any further than you apparently have. She's embarrassed by you and your scooter. The fact that she only needs you when nobody is looking is disrespectful. No more rides for the co-worker. They made their bed. Time to lie in it. Yeah, it actually makes me really sad to think this nice kid was helping her out and she thinks so little of him that she was embarrassed that he spoke to her in front of her friends. Who raised her? And she's older than him too. Somehow that makes her actions and attitude even worse. If she finds your generosity embarrassing, then the gallant thing to do would be to cease offering it.